Good evening, Sri Lanka. You're with BIZ24 on Other Derana. Today I have the pleasure of having with me Mr. IFTIKAR AHAMED, the Managing Director of Softlogic Life Insurance, the third largest insurance provider in Sri Lanka. A very good evening to you, sir. How are you doing today?
Very well. Thank you very much for having us on the program.
Yes. How has the business of Softlogic Life evolved over the past few years?
Right. So to start off with, Softlogic Life is part of the Softlogic Group. We are a conglomerate that is represented in a number of business verticals. Our key verticals are healthcare, primarily with the Asri Group of Hospitals. We are in retail with brands such as Odell, Cotton Collection, and various other consumer brands. Then we are also into financial services as our third vertical. Plus, we are also into hotels, restaurants, and in terms of the business overall, it's a very big operation. And from a Softlogic Life perspective, the group invested into insurance about 8 or 9 years ago. And since we've been in insurance, we've done some great things. Over the last 5 years, the company has grown at a compounded annual growth rate of about 30%. Compared to an industry growth rate of about 12%. In 2019, the group, Softlogic Life, had a top line of 12.5 billion rupees, growing at about 25%. So we've made a lot of big moves in the industry. We have grown very steadily, and that has come about due to a number of reasons. Because we have strategized very carefully, we looked at the market very carefully, and looked at the segments that are there in insurance where we could differentiate the products, we could differentiate our services, and as a result of that, we have seen extraordinary growth over the past 5 years.
That's absolutely amazing. Now, when it comes to insurance, it could be pretty tricky, but what do you recognize as your winning and growing strategy?
Right. So when it comes to life insurance, first up, as far as Sri Lanka is concerned, what we see is that there is huge potential in life insurance in Sri Lanka. Why do we say that? If we actually take the country's GDP versus what in insurance terms you refer to as GWP or gross written premium, that ratio is about 0.5%. Whereas if you take the regional average or Southeast Asia, the multiple is almost about 4 to 8 times of what Sri Lanka has. So the market is very underpenetrated. Because the market is underpenetrated, there is a huge opportunity for life insurance in Sri Lanka. So what we have done is we have looked at the market opportunities, and we have actually strategized in terms of how we will grow our business.
Now, let's move on to the most spoken topic as of recent times, the COVID-19 pandemic. Even the biggest of the biggest companies have really been struggling with this pandemic.
Right.
How would you say that Softlogic has overcome the adverse effects caused by the pandemic?
Right, okay. So COVID-19 has impacted the whole world. From a Sri Lankan standpoint, I think we are very lucky because the authorities and the government took some very decisive action at the correct time, and therefore the impact of Sri Lanka has been limited. Right? Now, the impacts of COVID are in a number of ways. What we think is the most important impact is that people are now aware of the risks to their health and risks to their life. So the prospect of life insurance and health insurance has now come into the forefront. And whilst previously it might have been something that was a little far away, now it is much more that people are thinking, of safety, right? And if something were to happen to my health, how do I protect myself, right? So as a result of that, the prospects for insurance and the demand for insurance we see post-COVID have been quite strong.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Ahmed. We're going to go into a short break now, but do stay tuned because we'll be speaking a lot about life insurance in Sri Lanka and specifically Softlogic Life. Welcome back to Biz 24. I'm in conversation with Softlogic Life Managing Director, Mr. IFTIKAR Ahmed. So, Mr. Ahmed, we've heard about the NOR Fund, the Fin Fund, and also the Munich Re investment coming in during this specific time. What more could you say to our audience about this?
Right. So I think what we've done with these transactions, so the Munich Re transaction was 15 million US dollars. The NOR Fund and Fin Fund transactions were a combined subordinated debt transaction of another 15 million US dollars. And I think through these transactions, what we have showcased is the opportunity for life insurance in Sri Lanka, because these counterparts have looked at these transactions, they have studied these transactions, they have done due diligence, they have done a fairly intense study of how the market is, what the products are, what the prospects are. And I think in summary what we are saying is they have chosen to do these transactions because of the excellent prospects that are there for life insurance in Sri Lanka. Now, amongst the life insurance industries, when they have, I think, looked more closely, what they have seen is that Softlogic Life, as Sri Lanka's fastest growing life insurance company, with the range of products that we have, is that we are one of the most suitable counterparts, we are one of the most favorable counterparts for them to do this transaction. Because if you look at Softlogic Life, what we have is for all customer segments, starting from, let's say, a premium of maybe 400 or 500,000 right down to 50 rupees a month. We serve all the client segments of Sri Lanka. We insure more than 1 million lives. In 2019, if you look at it, 1 in every 3 life policies that were sold in the market was a Softlogic Life policy. So they have looked at the potential for growth, the potential for the business in Sri Lanka, and that is why we believe they have chosen Softlogic Life for these transactions. And this is despite an ongoing global pandemic. If you look at the approvals that were granted, I think if I remember correctly, the Fin Fund board approved this in May. I mean, right in the middle of this whole pandemic, and the NOR Fund board followed it the following month. So we are very pleased about being able to show that Sri Lanka is an attractive investment destination. And despite all the negatives of COVID being around, that we have managed to attract $30 million to Sri Lanka.
That's absolutely wonderful, Mr. Ahmed. But with that, we're heading into a short commercial break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Biz 24. Today I'm with Mr. IFTIKAR Ahmed from Softlogic Life. Now, before we went into the commercial break, we were speaking about the investments that Softlogic has been able to attract. At such a time, at such a crucial time when the whole world is suffering, how do you believe that Softlogic was able to attract such an attractive investment?
All right, fine. So it's like this. If you look at the achievements that Softlogic Life has made over the last, over the maybe last 2 or 3 years, the company has done tremendously well. For example, in 2019, Softlogic Life Insurance PLC was the only Sri Lankan company that made it to the Forbes Asia list of under $1 billion, the best 200 companies on that list.
That's absolutely amazing.
That was absolutely amazing, and that's something that we're very, very proud of. Not only that, we made it in terms of the Asia Insurance Review to the top 3 life companies within Asia. Closer to home, if we look at how we communicate insurance and how we have built our brand, Softlogic Life, which is a brand that is about 3.5 years old, because previously the company ran with another name, actually was awarded the Brand of the Year 2019. So these are very key milestones. These are great achievements that have been actually undertaken and that have happened within a short space of time. And as a result of that, the company stands out among its peers as a company that is very focused, a company where its objectives and business goals are very clear, a company that has grown consistently in terms of top line, bottom line, has delivered a consistent return also to its shareholders. And so when it comes to the Sri Lankan life insurance space, and when foreign investors come in, they see us as a company that basically stands out. Another, actually, this is to do with the deals with FinFund, Norfund, and Munich Re, but we are also a company that attracted what is known as Leapfrog Investments. Leapfrog Investments is a global insurance fund, and they had scanned the Sri Lankan insurance market for a long time. I think they took more than 3 or 4 years to actually look at the prospects for insurance. They were very convinced that the opportunity was there, but what they had to decide was which company to invest with. And after a lot of careful studying and due diligence, what they what they did was they picked Softlogic Life to invest. So now Leapfrog is a 38% shareholder of the company, and that also helps us in terms of attracting other international partnerships like Norfund, like FinFund, like Munich Re to Softlogic Life. So we have a very good setup in terms of the leadership team at Softlogic Life. Any company is only as good as its staff or its people, and I think we have picked a set of people to lead the team. They come from very diverse backgrounds. We have insisted that it should not only be limited to insurance, because what we'd like to have is different views, different ideas, and different ways in which we can develop our business, because otherwise you tend to do the same old thing time and time again,
yes.
year after year. So I think we have differentiated ourselves quite substantially in that way, and that's the reason why I think when it comes to international partnerships, Softlogic Life stands ahead in terms of Sri Lanka's life insurers.
Now, we couldn't agree more with that statement, Mr. Ahmed. Now, when speaking of Softlogic Life, it is quite synonymous with growth and survival. So how would you say Softlogic has really swum against the current and strived to be the best, and especially during these adverse conditions?
Right. So actually, when COVID came along, I think all of us can remember, I think the curfew got implemented on 20th of March or so, until I think about 11th of May, we worked from our homes. So if you look at the business, we had an impact towards the latter part of March, right? And the good news is that because we are technologically quite agile, right, that we had set ourselves up to work from home, to process transactions on a remote basis, for our customers to pay premiums on an online basis. And not only that, if a customer had a claim, or if one of our policy holders was in hospital, for us to be able to process that claim, process that transaction using IT, right? So we are a company that has used used the IT resources very carefully, very tactically, and very strategically, right? And what every time we've done that, we have looked at customer convenience, because at the end of the day, why we are here is to serve our customers, right?
Yes.
And that's basically what we want to do. We want to make things as easy as possible. And despite COVID being there, we managed all our operations from home, online, and every week when we checked to see what are the transactions that are outstanding, we had almost like a zero, right? Meaning that everything that needed to be processed, new policies to be underwritten, claims to be paid, any servicing requests that needed to get done, all of those were completed whilst our staff was at home working remotely, and that was, I think, a great achievement, a real eye-opener also in terms of how things can be done differently. And so we are once again very happy, we are very proud of our staff, because I think also there were great sacrifices made from a lot of them, especially some of them who had to come into work despite the curfew, etc., to serve our customers. But I think overall we did very well, and it also showed that how a team that is set up in a special way, in a very close way, can together overcome any adversity that comes about. So yes, COVID came, is yet around. We are very happy to note that since then business has picked up substantially. Actually, we are our number cumulatively is higher than last year.
That's
right?
very impressive.
Which is great, right? So we are looking, we are looking forward to end the year on a very powerful note.
That goes on to say that adoption is crucial in such
Absolutely,
times.
yeah.
And something that is as important as adoption is communication. As an insurance company, how does Softlogic Life reach its audience? How do you all communicate? What's your communication strategy?
Right. Okay. So if you think back to life insurance in Sri Lanka across the decades, right? What life insurance companies have done is they have focused a lot on kind of negative advertising, right? Someone is going to have like a heart attack, or there's going to be something happening where you lose a loved one, and as a result of that, you need to scramble and go and buy an insurance.
Playing
policy.
on people's emotions as always.
So which is not a great thing, and as a result of that, the flip side of that is that the sales point then has to be really, you really have to force customers to buy your product, right? What we have done is we have tried to create a kind of engagement culture with our communications. So what we want our customers and future policyholders to do is to focus on their lives, right? To live their lives well, to in terms of nutrition, eat the correct types, have the correct types of nutrition, in terms of fitness, to be able to exercise themselves, to keep fit, in terms of let's say your mind, be relaxed. I mean, the good things in life is basically what we want our customers to do, the things that are peaceful, the things that help you to lead a happy, healthy life. So we've told them that this is what you should do, right? And whilst you're doing that, right, what you need to then do is also have a insurance policy for the sake of your health, because we do a fair amount of health. So we actually lead with health insurance rather than life insurance. So we like to think of ourselves as Sri Lanka's leading health insurance brand, and we, as a result of the way that we have been positive, I think we have engaged with our customers. We have really engaged with our customers, which is also translated into the number of policies that we have sold, the premiums that we have attracted, the number of customers that we have. So that has shown that the change of focus and the way in which we have approached our customers has gone very well. So what is now happening is that we see the rest of the industry also kind of gradually following us into this mode of communication, which we treat as a compliment. So overall, I think communications has been very effective, and as I mentioned earlier, I think that was one of the reasons why in 2019 Softlogic Life was the brand of the year.
And now, Mr. Ahmed, Softlogic has been very progressive, very forward-thinking. So what are your future plans in terms of Softlogic Life? Could you tell a little bit about that as well to our audience?
Absolutely. So when it comes to insurance, as I mentioned also before, we think there is great scope, right? The market is hugely underpenetrated, and see, the Sri Lankan market is also a function of income, right? And income, if you relate to the per capita income of a country, Sri Lanka is roughly at about $4,000 per capita. And what we have seen in insurance markets in other countries is that when the per capita goes beyond $5,000 to $6,000, is that you see a big spike, a big surge in terms of life insurance, right? So we think Sri Lanka will get there, right? Sri Lanka will get to that point of $5,000 or $6,000 per capita, and with that we will see an even more increased demand, right, for products like life insurance, health insurance. But what will happen more with income levels rising is for investment products, right? So we think investment products also will come into play in a fairly big way, right? And at Softlogic Life, we will be ready with the whole suite of products, right, from the small ones to the big ones, and across different product verticals, so that we are ready to serve the people of Sri Lanka in terms of their insurance requirements. And so we are very excited about that journey. We are very positive about this. We are building scale, we are building resources, We are always interested about attracting the best talent there is in the industry, whether it's in sales, operations, underwriting, reinsurance, any of actuarial, IT, any of those areas, marketing, and as a result of which we are getting ready for the future. We think the future is going to be bright, and we are very positive about the prospects for life insurance in Sri Lanka.
There you have it, Mr. IFTIKAR Ahmed, the Managing Director of Softlogic Life. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. Hope to see you soon and wish you all the very best.
Thank you very much for having us. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you very much for watching. Do stay tuned to Ada Derana to know more of the very latest in business right here on BIZ 24.